Dear ladies and gentlemen, dear roboticists, welcome to the European Robotics Forum 2019 in Bucharest. I would like to welcome Alexandru, Petrescu, Minister for Communication in Romania, Mady Delvaux, Member of the European Parliament and involved in robotic topics since long, Director Sioli and Director Dröll, representing two DGs within the European Commission, DG Connect and DG RTD. I would also like to welcome Adrian, Curaj, the General Director of the Romanian Executive Agency for Higher Education, Research, Development and Innovation Funding. Furthermore, I would like to welcome Kai Oliver Arras, Head of Robotics Research Program and Chief Expert Robotics of Bosch, and Anders Beck, Innovation Lab Manager at Universal Robotics. I would like to welcome the moderator of the opening session, Victor Negrescu, Vice Rector of SNSPA, former MEP, former Minister for European Affairs, and the Romanian Robotics Ambassador. Last but not least, I would like to welcome our local organizer and freshly elected EU Robotics board member, Anna Maria Stancu, President of the E-Civis Association and founder of Bucharest Promo Robots. As you know, Romania holds currently the EU presidency in challenging times where also the European elections take place. Therefore, we are proud having an event under the high patronage of the President of Romania and under the patronage of the Romanian presidency of the Council of the European Union. The ERF will be a great opportunity for everyone who is interested in the robotics to find out more about the latest developments, be it on the technology topics such as robotics and AI, safety or human-robot interaction, addressing working environments from underwater to space, addressing applications in healthcare, agri-food, maintenance and inspection, or in industry where digitalization is a hot topic. Besides the technical aspects, there are also non-technical ones. Europe has to create structures that enable true innovation building on the potential of clever brains and the exciting landscape of companies of all sizes, especially SMEs, which are the economic base for many regions in Europe. One of the instruments to address these are digital innovation hubs, where in the robotics area network of those hubs are currently established with the help of a group of projects with the goal to create a pan-European network of digital innovation hubs in robotics. You will learn more about that in the respective workshops. Especially the combination of AI and robotics will open new markets, allow for products and services that we cannot think of today, a basis for a real transformation. This very important topic is currently discussed, and EU Robotics is teaming up with the Big Data Value Association with the goal to form a partnership on AI in the next EC framework program after 2020. Here is the high importance of seamlessly integrate different technologies to develop novel solutions in a way that very comply with European fundamental rights, principles and values. An important issue is trustworthiness. Novel technical systems need to be accepted at work and at home. To create such innovation ecosystems requires communication and collaboration within the technically oriented robotics community and with all stakeholders, end users, component suppliers, politicians, and policy makers. Standardization bodies, public and private investment, the wider public, and the media. Another important view comes from the socio-economic perspective. As you know, we are facing a skill shortage, and there is a clear need to support the development of skills, starting with young children, with the part of euRobotics efforts during the European Robotics Week in November. Here at the forum, we will have discussion about educational topics in dedicated workshops. This list of topic areas gives you an idea about the broad range of presentations and discussions during the next 3 days. With more than, and that's amazing, 900 participants and 51 exhibitors, the forum will be again the place for mutual exchange, insight in technical and non-technical topics, and a sort of family meeting of the wider robotics community. I wish you and all of us an inspiring forum, fruitful discussions, good networking, and identification for future collaboration opportunities. And hereby, I open the European Robotics Forum 2019. I would like to thank all local people involved in the organization and the euRobotics office that made the ERF 2009 possible. Thank you very much. I would now give the floor to Anna Maria Stancu, the local host of the ERF 2019 in Bucharest.
Hello. I would like to welcome everyone here, if I didn't get the chance to do this personally. First of all, we are very happy that this magnificent event is happening in Romania and for the first time in the Eastern Europe. Yesterday at the General Assembly, we saw a presentation regarding robotics throughout Europe. And even in euRobotics, the countries that are missing are actually the ones in Eastern Europe, which means that there is a lot of work to be done in this area to bring these countries in and to promote more robotics. And this is the reason why we applied to organize this event here, and the reason why I actually candidated for a place in the board of euRobotics, hopefully to be able to promote more. But the idea is that Romania and the surrounding countries can be a new market. Sales are now rising slowly, but there is automation happening and moving forward. Plus, we have an excellent pool of talents here in Romania and in the surrounding countries. And from the experience of organizing Robotics Week and robotic-related events, I can tell you that students and even kids are just excited to work with robotics and to learn programming. So I truly believe this will be a first step in becoming bigger and stronger in this field. And I hope you will have a good time here. I hope myself and the team of volunteers that we have here will be able to satisfy all your needs. If not, please excuse us. We did our best. So I hope you will have a wonderful time. Please also consider the social program. And we also have a charity run, which the VP of euRobotics had the idea to organize, and we will donate the funds that are raised to an organization to fund STEAM projects for vulnerable areas. I invite now the speakers of the panel to take their places, and I will give the floor to Mr. Victor Negrescu.
So like the initial speaker said, we are really happy to have this great event here in Romania, and happy under the official patronage of the Romanian EU Council presidency. For those of you that do not know me, my name is Victor Negrescu. I'm a former EU Affairs Minister, former member of the European Parliament, but I'm also currently ambassador for the robotics here in Romania and honorary advisor to the Prime Minister, and we are really happy to be capable of having this event in Romania, here in Bucharest, meet the Romanian robotics community, but also exchange with you. And I think we have a lot of things to speak about today. And there are quite interesting topics on our agenda today. We are going to speak about Rise in Europe. We are going to speak about what is happening at European level with regards to robotics and artificial intelligence. We are going to speak about ethics. We are going to speak about research. We are going to speak about people, the entire community that is developing at European level. And we will need your support at one point to interact and to have an even stronger dialogue on these important topics. So starting from these ideas that the speakers, of course, are aware of, I will invite each of them to take the floor, to have an intervention, to do a presentation. Some have also presentations, and after that we will try to generate a debate. And I will start, of course, with our colleagues, with our guests from the European Commission. And I will invite Director Sioli, Director for Artificial Intelligence and Digital Industry, to take the floor.
Thank you very much. Thank you to euRobotics for organizing the event. Thank you to the local organizers as well. This is a magnificent venue, and I'm so glad to see so many people also sitting in the audience. Now, this is my first time at the forum of euRobotics, but it has been going on for a few years. And I've just had a tour of the exhibition, and it was very encouraging to see all the developments taking place in so many different areas. We saw, of course, the traditional manufacturing, automotive sector, but lots of developments in healthcare, both helping the surgeon or developing instruments to replace some functionalities, developments in agriculture, which has never been a very digitalized sector, but now thanks to robotics it is. Developments in logistics and transport, and we saw the drones and all the equipment that can help also in very difficult and catastrophic situations. So I think that lots of interesting projects out there. The whole of the economic sectors basically addressed through robotics. This is very important. It is very important because robotics is clearly improving our quality of life. Now, some people will not think so because they immediately think of robotics will kill our jobs, therefore very bad for our societies. The truth is, probably as robotics automate tasks, there will be changes in the labor market, some profiles and some tasks will be replaced, but overall robots can augment our capabilities, and we as human beings have to learn to work with the machines rather than to work against the machines. There will be probably frictions in the labor market, but the good news is that until now we have not seen any. The intensity of robots in Germany and Japan is the highest in the world, and these are the economies that right now have probably the lowest unemployment rates. So we have no evidence as yet of this technological unemployment related to robots, and I like to think that, okay, we have to do a lot in terms of education and skills, but we should not be fearing the negative impact of robots on our societies, but learn to accompany the transformation. So the digital transformation through robotics as well is accelerating, and as you probably know, because we talk a lot about it, the next step for us is to bring artificial intelligence at a much larger scale to Europe. And you may have heard our talks. We count a lot on the robotics community to help us do that. And actually, when people talk about artificial intelligence nowadays, they always talk about a race between China and the United States. And Europe is never on the geographical map. But We actually disagree with that, not only because we have a lot of important research labs in Europe that are very good at artificial intelligence, but also because we count on artificial intelligence embedded in robotics and machines to make the difference with what is the reality of artificial intelligence and the large internet platforms in the other continents. So we look at the strength of the robotics industry and their integration and work in value chains with the other sectors of the economy, because that is really the strength of the European Union, is its industrial sector, and we count and bet very much on the ability of the robotics community to take this next step in artificial intelligence and help us reap the economic gains this can bring to our economies. In fact, we're working a lot on artificial intelligence. You may have heard it last year. We actually do two things, because we have a general objective of being at the forefront of developments in artificial intelligence and make sure that those developments are human-centric. So on the one hand, we work with member states. We try to increase investment together. We are responsible, as you know, for the research program in Europe, and we try to federate investment around AI. We will have we propose to have a call in 2020 of 50 million euros on artificial intelligence, exactly with the objective of creating research networks in artificial intelligence. And the reason why I say this and I highlight this, because I think this is also very important for the robotics community to know and so that you participate to the debate in this particular area. And we are working with member states also on being able to bring artificial intelligence and robotics to small, medium enterprises. So the digital innovation hubs you heard earlier, networks of digital innovation hubs, including in robotics, calls we have already had, and that we will continue to have, as well as the AI on-demand platform. This is a platform that is supposed to bring resources in terms of artificial intelligence to small, medium enterprises and basically democratize access to AI resources for small, medium enterprises. And there also, I hope that the community will interact more and increasingly more with the AI on-demand platform. It's a project actually called AI for EU. You may have seen. Please do talk to them, because they will be also playing an increasing role in bringing about robotics facilities to the different sectors of the economy. And then, as I said, we're working on ethics. We have a group of experts, and they will be publishing guidelines on ethical developments on the 9th of April. So watch out if you're interested in this topic. This is coming up, an official presentation of the final version of the guidelines on the 9th of April. But let me come back to robotics and what we have been doing now during the past 5 years of this period of this research framework program. I think that the framework program has been crucial to create a community of robotics. Many of you are here, but this didn't exist in the past. So over the years in Europe, we have been able to create this collaboration and strengthen the synergies and investment in this particular area. And we still have 2 more years of the program to go. We have more calls. We still have, on top of the 50 million euros call I mentioned earlier, we have 2 more calls, one for the large-scale pilots in inspection and maintenance, in healthcare, the smart hospital, as well as, I think it's in agriculture. And then we are going to have the traditional research project, a call on traditional projects in research. So this is still to come up in the next 2 years. But we already have to look at the future, because the research program, like all our programs, will basically end in 2021. And so the Commission has made proposals for new programs. And I want to mention this because it's very exciting for your community for the future. We have Horizon Europe, which will, my colleague later will tell you more details about Horizon Europe, but this will include a cluster on digital and space and industry. And in this cluster, of course, in the part on digital, we are very interested in supporting artificial intelligence and supporting key digital technologies in general, and in making sure that we have strategic value chains in Europe, because with the current geopolitical context in Europe, we have to be very careful and not too much critically depend on imports from other parts of the world in some key technologies that are really, for security reasons, can really put us a little bit at the risk of not being able to enjoy our digital world. So our activity in Horizon Europe, in the digital cluster, and then outside the digital cluster, we're going to have clusters on healthcare, on automated cars, on automated transport, other areas that are of course very relevant to the robotics community. So please look at the Horizon Europe program in a comprehensive way. And then secondly, to help us bring research and innovation faster to the market, the Commission has proposed the Digital Europe program. This is a new program. This has already been agreed with the Member States and the Parliament, but not the budget yet, because the budget will be agreed at a later stage. It's more than 9 billion euros, very relevant for you, because this is going to be funding large test and experimentation facilities, including for robotics, and it will be financing common data spaces and digital innovation hubs. So be very also looking at this particular program. My final message is be optimistic for the future. There are a lot of programs at the level of the European Union that will be supporting your activities. We look at the robotics segment as crucial for our economic future, and so the only invitation I have for you is to increasingly participate to the European debate to artificial intelligence, look at the opportunities offered by artificial intelligence, and look at many partnerships with many other technology providers. We are not only talking about robotics in isolation, but we have to look at the value chains in the economy, and they're so important in our digital world. So thank you very much, and enjoy the forum.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your intervention, and I will also like to invite next to us the Minister for Communication, Mr. Petrescu, to join us also in the panel. And thank you for coming. He just made a tour also of the company's president and the technology president. And if we speak about technology, like Director Sioli suggested, we are speaking about a community. We speak about need to exchange, to use the potential that exists across Europe, but also focus on, of course, in developing this technology at a larger scale. And this is something quite important: scaling up, developing this potential, creating more interaction between innovation across Europe, and also transforming it in industrial products that bring a bigger added value to the European Union is something crucial for the European Union. And I think Director Dröll can speak with us about that, and also mention, like it was said before, this idea of Horizon Europe. So please have the floor.
Thank you very much. Good morning. This is a very timely conference. Tomorrow and on Friday, the heads of states and government in Europe, the European Council, will meet and discuss, among other details, industrial policy. And this conference is at the heart of industrial policy. To prepare the debate, our strategic think tank in the Commission has prepared a very good paper, which I recommend to your reading, about possible axes of industrial policy in Europe. And one is about trade defense, and the other, this is about making the WTO, the World Trade Organization, fit for purpose, about using innovative procurement, international procurement, about reciprocity of access to markets. And the other element in that is to start industrial leadership at home. And I think that is happening here today with this forum. And I'm very happy that it's taking place in Romania, the country of the EU presidency, in this half year. So when we look about industrial leadership, starting it at home, in automation and robotics, in the B2B, Europe is very strong. We can be very proud, and we can build on that. And Lucy already mentioned the forthcoming further interventions at European level to maintain, strengthen, and widen this leadership role. And it's basically about the new technologies triggering the new investments, notably from the private side. This is where the bulk of the investment will have to come from. From our side, we will help with that investment with this new program Horizon Europe already mentioned. And here's something, this is why the conference is also very timely. In the early hours of this morning, so tonight, there was an agreement in Brussels in what we call the trilogue between the Parliament, the Council and the Commission on this Horizon Europe program. And we got a breakthrough. And this is thanks to the Romanian presidency, the rapporteur Dan Nica from Romania, and I think it's a moment to give an applause to them. They worked hard, and I think they made a very, very important step forward yesterday. So thanks to the Romanian presidency. What does it mean for us? I mean, we are not yet there. The program has not been adopted. We don't know how much money, but that's a detail. And we don't know how many countries. But apart from these details, what does it mean for us? It means in all likelihood, because it still needs to be voted in the European Parliament and confirmed by the Council, but will be very likely, that we can start in June this year with what we call strategic programming. We will put to the widest possible global consultation our first ideas of the investment priorities for the years 2021 to 2024. And this is also your moment. So from June to September, please bring in the best possible ideas about the future investments we need to do to make the difference. The key words for us for Horizon Europe are co-creation. Co-creation, we want to get serious about that. And impact. Moving from action orientation to impact. And that is, I think, also important when you consider to engage in this process of strategic programming. The end result will be that in September, when we close the consultation, we would make an analysis, publish that, and discuss it at Research and Innovation Days end September in Brussels, make a document for the then new Commission, which hopefully will enter office in November, and if we have an agreement on the budget of the EU, a long-term budget, then we can launch this program hopefully in time. So these are, I think, quite important opportunities for you to engage, involve, and make our program as impactful as possible. Before that, and Lucy already mentioned it, we have also, under the existing program, some nice opportunities. And I wanted to mention from my area, which is mainly manufacturing and key enabling technologies, that there are very relevant projects. We have one which is called Symbiotic, which was targeted to make industry sectors which are reluctant to automation, to help them to adopt automation and robotics. Very relevant for you. There will be forthcoming calls. I heard this morning in a very interesting event on technology trends, one of the early morning events here, how important data is. Obvious, but it was also mentioned there, and very credibly. So we will build something called Industry Commons for data, very relevant for you. Also automation, AI in the building sector could be relevant for you, and energy efficient manufacturing systems. To conclude, I have 30 seconds, is that okay? Yeah. Industry policy is about democracy and European integration. Lucy mentioned the importance of link with democracy. What we see is where we have long-term declines, a deindustrialization, populism rises. Where we re-industrialize Europe, populism decreases and European integration flourishes. So this is actually the ambition of today, and let's together reunite Europe through robotics, automation, and reindustrialization. Thank you very much.
Very, very nice end of the speech. Technology uniting us across Europe. This is a very important remark that I think, of course, should be mentioned as often as possible. And indeed, if we speak about technology, if we speak about the Romanian EU Council presidency, we will also need to hear a voice of the Romanian government speaking about what Romania has tried to do and what is trying to do currently, handling this presidency, but also regarding innovation as a whole. The digital sector contributes with 6%, almost 6% to our GDP, which means technology in Romania is really important and becoming more important every day. And in order to speak about that, we have the opportunity to have here today the Romanian Minister for Communication, Mr. Petrescu, and I will give him the floor to speak about all of that. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Victor. There are just so many things to be said about technology, but I'll start with a big thank you for euRobotics, a big thank you for European Commission and the Spark program that made this event to reach its 10th edition, and undeniable, Bucharest is today the capital of robotics. So thank you for being everybody here, especially that AI is growing in importance. We have the Davos when AI became officially a priority of the digital society. We have the Coordinated Act for AI launched in December 2018. That's the route to taking AI as a priority in every single member state of European Union. And from our perspective, as the President of the EU Council on the digital agenda, AI is becoming, and of course robotics in its larger, broader context, it's becoming a priority. We have to be pragmatic and be aware that we need to reduce the gap between different global geographies. You are probably aware that EU is investing somewhere about 3 to 4 billion euros a year on AI. We have China, Asia space, they have around 13 to 15 billion. And of course, we have North America going as much as $25 billion a year. So we definitely need to reduce this gap, because still, if you look at the stats, 6 out of 10 manufacturing companies in European Union do not use advanced technologies, highly performant AI methods, which means we are lagging behind. The awareness is still very low. This is why what the European Commission is doing, and I have to say a thank you for the person like Andrus Ansip, who's been very much pushing the DSM, the Digital Single Market agenda within the Council and within the Parliament, and of course the Commission. And this is our response to reducing this gap. Just a quick reminder, the DSM started somewhere in 2015 and is basically a package of legislations and directives that will take us to a market that's acting as a single united market, and this is the only way we can better compete with other geographies across the world. Within this process, Romania is gaining importance through everything it's been doing since taking over the presidency on 1st of January. We are leading highly important dossiers, and let me remind you a number of them directly impacting our progress into adopting AI and advanced technologies effort. And you mentioned data. We closed one of the most important dossiers that's been sort of lagging in negotiations, the public sector information dossiers, which now is reached the Linguistic Commission. So basically it's close in terms of reaching a compromise agreement, and very soon will be translating into a directive, and within the 2 years will find itself in the national legislation of each member state. Basically this dossier is allowing an easy transfer of data from public administration, could be local, could be central, to innovators in technology into the private sector. So basically will ensure the raw material, the data, on the back of what can be constructed, robotics, AI, applications of all kind. So this dossier is now ready to reach the market. Of course, you mentioned Horizon program. I would also talk a bit about the Digital Euro program, a highly important program, which again Romania managed in February to close this very important file, and now is just the ECOFIN minister, so the financial component to be finalized by the end of 2019. So we'll have a dossier that will allow investments on digital skills, on AI, on cybersecurity, which is a crucial component of technical and technological evolution. Everything we do from now on needs to be accompanied by cybersecurity. You know, it was an expression I heard, the Internet of Things without cyber is Internet of Threats, that kind of stuck to my mind. For sure, the progress, the evolution, it's fantastic. We've been in 10 years from Flintstones to Jetstones, so the future is always here, but the way we progress is amazing. Robotics is becoming mainstream, which is the most important thing. It's been around for a long time, but now artificial intelligence is the business that's attracting most of the investors nowadays. They are a magnet for capital everywhere. We pride ourselves in Romania with some of the best startups in AI, but what we need to do as a EU Council, as united European Union, we need to create the legal premises for those businesses in order to reach global commercial maturity, to remain here in European Union, not to find the only way to success transiting on the other side of the big pond in North America or other places, which now they seem to be rather more favorable to encouraging growth of businesses of high technology. So we still have to do a lot of work, but what I can assure you, Romania is doing its part, is doing its contribution through these 6 months, and will leave an important legacy for the other countries to follow, so we can all have accomplished the digital single market, and we can move on to new horizons in a way that EU would be in a better competition position than it is today. Let me say thank you and welcome to Romania to all the guests here. I have a fantastic job because I can go to all these events where I would have gone anyway, and I look forward to listen to all the panelists, but especially to see every single stand out there, which of course at some point you'll have to do it as well. Thank you very much for being in Bucharest, and we look forward for having you back and together building new businesses based on high-end technology. Thank you very much, Victor.
Thank you so much. Yeah, Bucharest being the capital of robotics today, it sounds quite good and interesting, and of course it's good to hear all these good steps that are being made under the Romanian EU Council presidency, and also the steps that are being made at European level. The minister mentioned, of course, this idea of course, creating legislation that is adapted to, of course, to technology and to the evolutions. And indeed, we have the opportunity today to have someone that has worked on that and that has basically raised awareness regarding the importance of writing legislation in this field. And she's someone that, of course, worked a lot in the European Parliament. We had the opportunity to work together, and I'm really happy to have here Miss Mady Delvaux, member of the European Parliament, that you all know quite well.
Thank you, Victor. Good to see you in Bucharest, and thank you for inviting me to the European Robotics Forum. I'm very happy to be here again and to meet the growing robotics community, which with so many creative people who show the immense innovation potential of the European Union, and to make me very optimistic about the future. I want to congratulate you to deploy your best efforts to create synergies in the European Union and also to reduce the gap between member states of the European Union. And I think the choice of Bucharest is really a symbol for this. So, of course, the rapid development of machine learning and new applications appearing on the market draws the attention of the public to the opportunities and challenges of robotics and AI. But I want to believe that the European Parliament at least contributed since 2015 and since adoption of our report in 2017 to raise awareness between policymakers and general public that we have to prepare also our societies to create an environment which allows successful and harmonious development of this technology, because we want European industry to remain competitive and successful in the globalized world, because we have many assets, the experience, industrial tradition, excellent labs of research, talented people, and an interesting market for consumers. And also because we want robots and artificial intelligence to be beneficial to humans, to make our lives, our jobs easier, and to place the human at the center of the development. So we identified in our report opportunities, and they are substantial, but we pointed also to the challenges, not because we want to be negative, but because non-recognizing problems can lead to mistrust or even to opposition, to public opposition. So I can tell you that every week in the European Parliament, events are taking place on artificial intelligence and robotics. There are workshops, hearings, debates on different aspects, on industrial challenges, on security, which is now the rising topic in the political debate, ethical questions, legal aspects, privacy, liability. But of course, this parliament will not take any decision anymore. You know that elections are in 2 months. Good luck, Victor. But I nevertheless want to say that I welcome the action plan, the European Action Plan for Artificial Intelligence launched by the European Commission. Finally, I had the hopes that it would become earlier. And now, of course, we are waiting for the outputs of all these high-level expert groups on ethical questions, on investment, on legal questions. And I believe that the next Parliament can discuss and vote on proposals which will allow real progress on this important issue. I cannot but repeat that to be successful as European Union, we need to join efforts from all member states and to defend together our industry, our interests, our values. And to do so, we need, of course, political will. We need more money, more funding for research, for startups, but also to help our champions to be dominant on the market. We need also a framework with harmonized rules for the single market to give legal certainty to investors, but also to create trust in our citizens and consumers. And we need the best education and lifelong learning opportunities, also for girls. I look around. We need more women and girls in this sector because we want to allow all our citizens to benefit from the opportunities and also to reduce inequalities in our societies. So having said this, I wish you a very successful forum and all the best for the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your intervention. And indeed, the European Parliament has worked a lot on those issues, and especially you did a great job in working on those issues. And I would like to thank you once more for your great efforts and for the fact for promoting in the European Parliament such important debates. Because indeed, having myself been in the European Parliament, it's not always the case to have such interesting debates. And I think Ms. Delvaux did play an important role in the European Parliament, especially on these topics. And of course, she mentioned this idea of research, of education, on what can be done and what has been done. We also have people actually working daily here in Romania on such issues. We have here the General Director of the Executive Agency for Higher Education, Research, Development and Innovation Funding, Mr. Adrian Curaj. Curaj means in English courage, in Romanian also. So I think you will have the courage to speak about all of these important topics. So please have the floor.
Hi. Thank you, Victor. I don't know if I have courage or not, but first I don't know exactly what was the reason why I was invited for this panel. Maybe because for the 17 years I was researching in robot control. It was the most interesting part of my professional existence, maybe because I was young, of course. Patents, publications, working in a nice, beautiful team. It is one of the head I had. Another one is the head of the Research Council in Romania, and for the next 20 years I was in the driving seat of funding science and innovation in Romania. So being close to the policy implementation and policy advice. I'm also a professor, so many times you are preparing for something you are not if you are not clear, you are preparing for something different. So I decided to have a little bit color, to bring some color to this panel, and I will run through my slides, being nice, beautiful color. I don't know how much information you will receive from, but it's interesting, I am sure. Again, the head of researcher, the head of funding research, and also the head of advising in policies in science and innovation. And actually, my presentation about being prepared and being ready for to live in such a complex world, everything is connected, of course. And being prepared to live in a wild raging of tornado. And you see in the slide the topics of your conference. I highly appreciate to be here in Romania. Digitization, automation, artificial intelligence, robot and immersive reality. Living in times of singularities and also exponential change and times of uncertainties. And we are at the crossroads. We don't know exactly how things are moving, believe me. And coming from future studies also for policy advising, so nice, beautiful crossroads, what is actually the direction. It's about fourth industrial revolution. You know all, but for me it's actually important to be at the place of fusion of technologies, blurring the lines between physical, digital and biological world, changing not only what we do but who we are. This is actually many times a tough question. And of course I'm coming also from university, asking for new skills and knowledge. Definitely it's about being and becoming. Industry 4.0, you know, because you all are working around robots, but also the dream of super smart society, everything interconnected, society 5.0 and global challenges. And also the last report of the Club of Rome is interesting and important because it said transformation is still feasible. And the question here is, are we preparing ourselves and are we learning our young children to be capable to drive the change, not to be driven by change? This is something important for all of us looking at the transformation in education, in higher education and education in general for us. But the last point I want to touch is about being prepared. And being prepared, it's something in the last head I have working and using technology for scanning the horizon. Scanning the horizon for what? For understanding changes. For understanding changes for what? For feeding in discussions about decisions to be taken. Decisions, of course, for horizon, for digital agenda, but also, don't forget, for the smart specialization strategy, because in this game, the smart specialization will bring for the next programming period the same amount of money, maybe more, as the Horizon Europe will come with. It's so important to be careful because actually, smart specialization is about industrial transformation. It's about digital, and digital arena will play a key role here. And being prepared and using technology is what we have done for the 6-7 years here in Romania. And I just want to say something. Sorry, for you. Soon, European Commission is going to publish an amazing report, Radical Innovation Breakthroughs. We are prepared a report talking about the key 100 technology pushing the boundaries for the Europe and for the world at the 2035 year. It's important because actually most of the recommendation will be at the core of the Horizon Europe programs. So it's important to scan the horizon, to understand what is happening, not to guess, but to try to understand the dynamics and to come with some technologies behind. Technology and artificial intelligence and many others. Here there are, and this is amazing, interesting, from those 100 recommendations, more than 20 are in a way around robots and artificial intelligence. I put some blockchain, of course. I saw also a nice, beautiful session on blockchain and robots, swarm robots. I don't know, who knows, but it's nice, very interesting. Soft robots is at the key of the discussions, and the most of efforts around robots are around soft robots issues. And I'm almost at the end of my intervention. If it is to have a new opportunity to decide on my professional pathway, definitely I take robot again, because I do believe the challenge is impressive from the technological point of view, from the scientific point of view, from the interdisciplinarity point of view, from the societal point of view. Thank you so much for being together. I wish all the best for the next today and tomorrow, for the next 2 days, in looking at the frontier of science and technology, and also be careful with something challenging all of us, humankind values. Thank you so much.
Indeed, thinking about the future, thinking about how we can finance, of course, research, all of those issues are quite important. And I think it's important also to hear the point of view of stakeholders, so the one actually acting every day in this field and the problems which they are confronting, and of course the issues that are important for them. And in this regard, of course, I will give the floor to the first speaker on this topic, the head of robotics research program and chief expert robotics from Bosch, Mr. Arras.
So, thank you very much. Good morning. I'm Arras. I'm part of Bosch Research, and I use my 10 minutes to introduce our robotics research activities at Bosch.
Ready? You can demonstrate the motion now. Hello?
Well, also these kinds of things happen in our labs, but normally we do
state-of-the-art research. We extend the state-of-the-art and publish at leading conferences.
We use open source software to contribute back. We actively support the development of ROS.
We tackle and solve exciting real-world challenges, and our spectrum of robots and applications is uniquely broad.
We research on
robots 24/7, SLAM and localization, multimodal robot perception and scene understanding,
lifelong task and motion planning,
dexterous grasping, reinforcement learning for robot manipulation. We're working on all fundamental aspects of robotics.
We really have a uniquely diverse set of robot applications in consumer, industrial, and automotive markets. And our research can easily have an impact on hundreds of millions of people.
We have a career path for researchers who want to stay at the forefront of science that gives them a long-term perspective.
We combine all the advantages of corporate and academic research. And, as a privately owned company, we follow long-term strategies. So, all in a nutshell, we're striving to become a world-leading company in autonomous systems, robotics, and artificial intelligence. And we make science work.
The robot has learned to execute a task using the least energy possible. It took quite some time before it found a solution. I'm curious what it will do.
So, who are we, what do we do, and why are we here? So Bosch Research is the corporate research sector within the Bosch Group. It's about 1,700 people big, with a headquarters in Renningen near Stuttgart and international locations all over the world. And our robotics research activities are currently of the size of 70 researchers strictly in robotics and many more in neighboring fields such as computer vision, AI, machine learning, and so on. Bosch is not a stock company, so we have a longer perspective on things, and we can afford having a long-term research strategy, and robotics is part of it. We cover the entire spectrum of fundamental research to applied research, and we do this under an open innovation policy, so we can publish papers, we use and contribute back to open source software. And there are many opportunities to collaborate with academia through our own PhD program or publicly funded projects. So we have one of Europe's largest corporate research programs in AI and robotics. We invest 300 million euros in AI until 2021. This is the Bosch Center of Artificial Intelligence, which is part of Bosch Research, and around 100 million in robotics research until 2024. So why is Bosch an interesting environment to do robotics and AI? Because Bosch has a uniquely broad setup and access to markets in consumer, industrial, and automotive sectors. In Europe, Bosch is quite known, but outside of Europe, you have to remind people of a couple of facts and figures. So Bosch is the world's largest automotive parts supplier, with the largest manufacturer of home appliances in Europe, the world's largest supplier of MEMS sensors. So your car and your cell phone is full of Bosch sensors with a very high probability. Drives by Bosch Rexroth turn the London Eye Ferris wheel and actuate the Tower Bridge. And we are one of the worldwide largest patent applicants with 23 applications per day on average. So a little bit more concrete. What do we do if you go to the end of the innovation pipeline in terms of products in robotics? So the Indigo lawnmower was one of the first one, came to the market in 2015 with intelligent navigation. This year we launched the Rockster robotic vacuum cleaner. Mikey is a concept of a countertop kitchen robot, and Smart Home Hub was presented at CES 2017. Then also kind of a robotics product is the e-stroller. It's scaling down the idea of the e-bike to the baby stroller. This will hit the market in 2019 with the Swedish manufacturer Imayunga. So those that have kids know that this is a real pain point. There's also a safety point of view. Bonirob is a concept that is relatively known as a multi-purpose robot platform for precision agriculture, for example, mechanical weed control, which is a very sustainable way of weed control. APAS was one of the first truly collaborative robots with a safety certified sensor skin. This year, a couple of weeks back actually, we launched Active Shuttle, which is a small freely navigating AGV, which comes in fleets. Now more into the industrial and now automotive sector. We also do container transportation, which is, by the way, a very challenging and cool lifelong SLAM challenge, infrastructure-free localization with centimeter accuracy, 24/7 year-round. And this will also come very soon. And people movers, so this is basically level 5 automated driving in restricted areas. And then for level 4 and level 5 in unrestricted areas, we have the Bosch Daimler Corporation called Athena. So this was the end of the innovation pipeline. Now let's go to the beginning of the innovation pipeline. This is our basic research we do at Bosch. And this is just to underline that, well, first we strive for excellence. These are our robotics papers last year, a selection of it. And with the exception of 2 papers, all the first authors of those papers are from Bosch Research. Just to underline that we have this open innovation policy. We strive for excellence. We also need excellence to be competitive. And these papers are about all kinds of things: long-term human motion prediction, human detection and tracking, multi-agent coordination, dual-arm motion coordination and planning, about semantic labeling of indoor environments, and so on and so forth. And one paper even got an award nomination of last Arras. So, summary: Bosch strives to become a world-leading company in autonomous systems, AI, and robotics. We're here at ERF to reach out to you guys and also to contribute scientifically with papers, workshops, and workshop contributions. Meet us at the exhibition booth. We still have open position in SLAM, perception, motion planning. We're happy to talk to you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So we are at midday. That means you already have 13 patents, because you said you have 23 patents per day. So very interesting presentation indeed. Of course, hearing out the voices of those that actually do that every day is quite important. And we also have Anders Beck from Universal Robots Innovation Lab Manager that is going to speak about that. And after that, we will take questions from you. So please prepare that as well. So I'll give the floor to Mr. Beck, please.
Yeah. All right. So. I'm actually very happy to be here to address to you today and also discuss a bit here in the opening of European Robotics Forum. I'm really, really happy and excited to be here, and also with the sort of introduction that we had of the forum today. My talk today, I want to look a bit at the present state of manufacturing. If we actually talked a lot about in the last perhaps even a decade of robotics, so how will the manufacturing look like in some years? But I think it's actually very, very important for us as a community to realize the potential that we actually have for impact, as you very rightfully said, very, very close to us, because the transformation that we've been looking at is actually happening right under our feet at the moment. So if you look at manufacturing, going back to to the mechanization of the industry in Europe, we saw a lot of automation happening that really improved the potential, the performance of our manufacturing. And on a global scale, that made a very big change. We also saw the impact of the salary battle that really made the change. That really made the change where actual industry had to challenge themselves to perform in a global market, a global competition. And what actually happened was that we weren't really competing against robots. What we actually were, started working like robots. Right, so the humans in manufacturing really changed. They changed to a part where they did repetitive jobs, where they really had to race against the clock and make sure that they could perform the same consistency, because the technology for some processing tasks, for some assembly tasks of doing them automated, isn't still really there. We have the potential. We have high volume manufacturing with robotics, works really, really great. But at the end of assembly, we still have people working as robots. And that is luckily changing right now. And the good thing is that we have a big change in terms of the demands that we put to the products that we buy. We see an increasing explosion in mass customization, especially the small and medium-sized companies. They're producing to a local market, and they have the demand for being able to customize their products. We also see that the life cycle of modern products are increasingly short. It means that the whole industrialization with with very high automation, or especially with also very high volume manual labor, simply becomes unfeasible. Because the most important thing is that most of our modern products has a very, very high demand to precision, to consistency. We as consumers do not really expect and accept any flawed products anymore. It'll get returned immediately and we'll buy something else, right? So we need to be able to adapt that change of manufacturing, and having humans working as robots, delivering precision and consistency under very, very hard time constraints doesn't really work. So luckily the industry is changing in that direction. There's really a big motion going on, and I think the robotics community has been pushing this and driving this, I guess, for the last decade or so, and I think we've been playing a very, very big role in doing this transformation. But we see a lot of companies now picking up automation, working with it more themselves, at least in a collaboration. Instead of having a contractual relationship with a supplier delivering an automation solution that they have no part in, they actually become a part of the consumers, the part that really works on this. And it really also brings back the human aspects of manufacturing. It gets the manufacturing back to in the power of the companies, like we had, let's say 30, 40 years ago, where the companies themselves did do the manufacturing. So it's much about this movement. It's about connecting really the human ingenuity back into the manufacturing process. We need to deliver them technologies so that the manufacturing companies themselves can be much more enrolled and play the part of delivering their technologies. Because there's no time, there's no money for the big, long custom developments that we have seen in the past 20 years. We need to have more ready technologies, and we need to increase the pace on adoption of robotics in the manufacturing. And it is actually happening. It's happening around us, right? We see this transition from people that are working traditionally blue-collar work, doing repetitive work with a sort of varying quality, doing the best that they can. But if we can enable them to actually do automation themselves, work with robotics as tools, that would be the main transition. And I think AI, and I think also the whole work that we've been doing so on with agile manufacturing and our innovation hubs and so on, can really stimulate this growth. So the potential is there, and it's really happening under our feet. So I think also as a robotics community, it's important we pick this up and we really make sure that we deliver on this promise. What really is happening is that our industry as a whole is changing a mindset to become consumers. If you look back 10, perhaps 15, 20 years ago, then our industry bought like projects. They paid a lot of money for custom development, big industry projects. Right now, when they're playing a larger and larger part in the installations, in the work that they do, they transition to become consumers. And consumers demand ready-to-go products. They demand systems that they can buy, that they can work with, that are sort of ready for them. And I think we have the mindset, I think we have the platform in the European robotics industry to deliver these kind of ready-to-go products. So we see so much technology that because they don't get scalable, they become like one-of-a-kind products, then they don't reach the markets as they could be. So the good thing about this industrial consumerization is that it really demands us to think about scalability. And also scalability for us also means that a one-of-a-kind solution doesn't reach the market. It doesn't make a difference in Europe. But 500, 1,000, 10,000 installation, that's what really makes the big differences, right? So fixing a very, very hard problem once doesn't really make a big change and difference in Europe, but solving a slightly hard problem 10,000 times, that makes a huge difference, right? And the good thing is that the road to market for us, the road to market for our technologies have never really been shorter. Right now we see in the industrial market, we see technologies coming almost straight out of the university, straight out of startups, and scaling very, very rapidly to the industrial market. The industry is ready. They're really waiting. The market has never been more ready to accept and bring in new technologies. They're very thirsty for this. But we're only delivering to a minimum scale. So having the focus on impact in the new European programs, but also in the research community, is really, really important. The road is not that long. We just need to focus and make sure that we deliver on this promise. A good thing is there's a lot of ecosystems growing up. It's a very, very powerful thing for us as a European community, because the ecosystem mindset works very, very well to the way that we do business in Europe. If we compare to our American counterparts, there's a lot of dollars invested here, and a lot of private dollars that makes it, let's say, easier to scale a business, to scale a technology to become a big thing. But that doesn't scale as well in Europe. We are a bit better at smaller startups. But with the ecosystems, as we see them both from the big digital players like Amazon and Google, we see Ross growing, we see private ecosystems growing, makes that road to market also significantly shorter. The value chain, the delivery chain is already there. So we have the market access, and we have a quite easy way of getting our products to the market. So it is there. It's pretty much ready for us to deliver on. I think now it's just a matter for us to really pick it up. And as soon as we can do that, the robotics will be able to spread into many, many other areas than manufacturing. Because AI and the agile manufacturing technologies, the work that we do in our digital innovation hubs, really, really goes broader than just manufacturing. Good examples are like robots. This is from Rio, Olympics in Rio, where there was robots holding cameras. You can use robots for doing like physiotherapy. The potential are huge, right? So we can scale into so many other businesses as long as we really make sure that we think about scalability in our technologies. Yeah, so that was all for me. Thank you.
So much. So move over there also for the moderating part. We'll have about 10 minutes to go for the questions and answers. So we have Mike, my colleague there on the right. So who would like to ask a question? Okay, over here. We'll take a couple of questions, and after that, going back to the panelists.
Well, first of all, thank you very much to all the panelists. It was very nice to follow the talks. I mean, there is no doubt that AI and robotics are going to shape our future, and everybody agrees with that. And the Commission is very strongly in investing in that. But one thing which is very specific in Europe is that we are really working differently than the US and in other places. We are really working together, and digital innovation, all these things are stimulating this. How can we match the amount of investments that, for example, China and the US is doing in Europe to create, big missions to make robotics and AI? So I would like a comment, because, they are investing, the numbers were named, right? The 20 billions. And so I would like some feedback from people from the Commission's, maybe in answer, how can we match this amount of investment? Because we have the power to be first rather than following, right?
Well, how we do it is by allocating more money and by having AI part of our production mainstream capabilities as a priority. And I've seen some, I'm a fanatic of stats, and one regarding to AI, the difference between adopting AI and not adopting the AI, and by not reducing the gap we have now with those runners ahead of us, would be a difference in terms of the GDP of the EU by 2030. If we don't adopt, we have around an extra 1,700 billion euros. If we adopt, we go up to 3,700 billion euros, 1,000 billion euros. Would be, we go up by 2030 with 20%, or we can go up by 2030 with nearly 40%. So it's definitely a must, and I have to say it is central preoccupation to the most sectors part of the council, if I talk within my respect. I have to say, in the digital sector, one of my priorities, my mandate, I haven't felt we center everything we do to AI, to advanced technology as much as I would like to. So one of the ministerial councils, the reunions that had place here in Bucharest a month ago, it was an informal ministerial reunion. We prepared the decisions for the June formal ministerial reunion in Luxembourg, and that where you'll see formal decisions taken at the level of the council that would put AI on the map, not just a priority, but with the right fund allocation. And the Digital Europe program, you'll see a lot of money, and unfortunately I cannot express any figures about how much money would be, because it's still part of the negotiation, so I don't want to impact, but we are talking about a high ceiling of 9.2 billion euros, and I will stop here if you don't mind, because I will let the finance minister to take the final decision. But definitely is a very strong focus and the money to follow as well. I mean, we cannot afford not having AI central to our future. The IT as we know it today, the traditional IT&C, will have fuel for 10, 12, 15 years. Everything from there will be blockchain, will be AI, will be new technologies.
Yeah, I think we'll move it to the European Commission, and I think if you mention the Minister for Finance, the Commission may say to the Council if they are going to give you the funds.
In fact, indeed, we hope that the Council and the Parliament understand the importance of digital. I'm sure they do. It's just that there are so many priorities, you know, and the funds are always limited and need to be allocated across different priorities. But of course, we in Europe we have set an objective. We would like to be able to invest about 20 billion euros per year in the next decade. Now, in Europe doesn't mean at the European Commission level. It means European Commission plus member states plus private sector. What we can do from the level of the European Commission is to start increasing our own investment. So already now we have increased our investment in AI, in our research program by 70% already in this framework program. And simply the way we did this is to mainstream AI in existing priorities. Now in the future, of course, we would like to do more. Also the budget of the research program as well as the budget of the Digital Europe program will be decided later. I hope honestly that in the digital part of Horizon we will get a significant amount of funding for digital and for artificial intelligence, which then carries the robotics and all the rest. And for the Digital Europe program, as the Minister said, the Commission proposed €2.5 billion for artificial intelligence, which also includes data common space, but we will see what they will decide. Of course, I hope with the fact that we have this coordinated plan with the Member States, and all the Member States are very, very interested in AI, and they understand that we need to invest together, otherwise nobody, not even Germany, will be able to invest as much as China or the United States can do. I hope that that will be a very important source for synergies, collaboration, and as I said, we already starting 2020 work program with a call which will actually be called in 19, at the end of 19, after the summer, with this new 50 million euros for the research networks on AI. This is new, fresh money that we devoted to artificial intelligence already in this framework program. And we just hope that the member states help us to continue doing even more in the future.
I think it makes it pretty clear that there is a special spirit in this topic, AI in combination with robotics, to bring mechatronics together with all the wonderful IT business. And I think we don't have to be too jealous to the huge investments which can be done in US and in China, because with all the power, all the intelligent resources we have in Europe, and with the support from the politicians and from the Commission, I think we are really in the pole position to start this now. And I think especially this forum is a start after 10 years. It's a 10th forum we have, a start bringing these two groups closer together and to make it a success story for us, for the European people, and for our common future. Thanks a lot for all the panelists supporting us.